good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here, speaking amongst dignitaries. I'll straight away start with my presentation. About 3 months back, when I was given this opportunity to speak here, and after getting the request clearances from my organization, I just got back to Geospatial, asked them what kind of duration that I'm supposed to speak. And I was told 15 minutes. So I said 15 minutes, and what do I speak of big spatial data and security? So then I came across this Ramayana in 5 lines. So I said Ramayana can be done in 5 lines. So big spatial data, of course, 15 minutes is enough. So data, I will start. Big data. We speak today on big data. Data is only about 0 and 1s. 80 years back, the first magnetic drives were launched. For the first time, we were able to query. The mankind was able to query. The mankind, after not only querying, they were able to get info from lots of zeros and ones which were stored in the form. So spatial big data has been, we have been hearing it in recent times for about, I've been hearing it for about 3-4 years, but when I read about it, so from the history point of this spatial big data is not new. It has been with us since ages. To give an example, the picture shown in the slide, it belongs to an ancient Egypt era, and it has a story in brief, pertains to River Nile. The engineers during the time of Egyptian era, they used to predict the crop analysis based on some data analysis that they used to do. What they used to do was, along the length of River Nile, that's not less than about 7,000 kilometers, at regular intervals they used to dug holes on both sides of the rivers, about 2 meters in diameter, about 7-8 meters deep. And those holes were dug at intervals, and they used to take the levels of water. At some points it was found low, at some points it was found high. And again they used to throw logs in the rivers. In a way they were trying to capture what is the flow of water. Depending on these two factors, at that time they were able to influence and decide their resource allocation of where to place what machinery to be placed where to increase the productivity. So this is actually a very small form of big data. Today we are handling attributes from all the directions. This was just one way. So in this 15-minute route to my thank you slide, speak about basic concepts, perceptions and challenges. Perceptions, big data. Yesterday in my interaction with few of you, I had exchanged my views about how do you feel what is big data. So they had different views. Like for example, a woman, a professor in his class, he wrote on the board, a woman without a man is nothing, and he asked to punctuate the same sentence to the class. The males wrote, a woman without a man is nothing. They wrote, a woman without a man is nothing. So content is the same, but it is the perception, how we take up the meaning. Similarly, yesterday what I had interacted, some said it is social media data, latest buzzword. I got different views. The combination is spatial data sets exceeding the capacity of current computing systems to manage, process or analyze the data effort due to volume, velocity, variety and veracity. Data today is exploding in volume. Terabytes, petabytes, it's coming in volumes. That data is just flowing. Velocity, the kind of query mechanism that we intend today, we want everything in real time. The data is coming, we want to query data immediately. Variety, the formats, there is no dearth of format. These devices, various equipments, various feeds, we get all formats of data. They are all increasing in these directions, but there is a decrease in veracity. Now veracity means the trust towards what we are receiving as form of input. In a more simpler manner, big spatial data finding actionable info in massive volumes of both structured and unstructured data. Structured and unstructured. Structured means what we are used to seeing. We all have handled in right from our school times, sequential query language, database. That is all structured. Now, when we speak about the unstructured, it is basically the logs. Each equipment, it is giving out logs. So that basically constitutes the unstructured part, which has got no actually defined structure, and that is so large and complex that it is difficult to process it with the traditional database and software techniques. Just facts. Facebook data, of course, it is an older thing. Now it is 800 TBs of per day what handling is done. US drone aircraft sent back about 35 years of streaming video footage in 2012. This is very interesting. 90% of the data today what we have in the world was created in the last 2 years. And for the total 3 EB, today we keep hearing GB, TB, there's another EB. I have established a help center there. You can work out what is EB, exabyte is 1000 petabytes. So 3 EB of data is created every day. Now that's a whole lot. Now this is for the geospatial guys. Growth of geospatial data is outpacing the software and services and is set to become a major contributor to the overall growth of the industry. The good news for all the geospatial guys, of course, we are handling Earth. So, the bad things in life, open your eyes to the good things you weren't paying attention to before. So, till the time we get bitten by somebody, we hardly care. We keep going. And here, it comes in form of security. Till the time security issues bites us, we do not pay attention to it. Any application in the past we have been we take from the design stage. Security is hardly taken as a criteria, but as on date, yes, the attack surface is increasing. The attack surface is widely increasing, I must say. But at the same time, I don't foresee in another about 5-10 years we will be able to reach a stage where we have 100% security. 100% security will remain a myth, kind of, because I don't foresee the current infrastructure, the current preparations, the current designs, the current vision. I don't foresee like we'll be any day 100% secure. So here is like the technology is ready. It is ready to give the services, but are we ready to take on? Are we ready to take it into confidence? Give our data, give our so much of privacy issues into the technology. Geospatial data, of course, these are the various advantages, disaster relief, utilities, financial, of course. Now, I am here to discuss the other side of the story. Other side means the features that can compromise us. Security challenges. First, the distributed programming frameworks. Now, to handle big spatial data, we cannot solve them or handle them in the traditional method. There are distributed programming frameworks that are there. Now, don't get perturbed about the graphs. It's a very technical graph, but don't bother about it. Simply, I define it. Utilizes parallelism in computation and storage to process massive amounts of data. Still more clear, map, reduce framework. This is the framework, this is the key element of any big data. Anytime we start handling the most accepted framework as on date is map reduce framework. So map means splits the input data set into indicators which are then processed in a completely parallel manner, and then reduce aggregately results from the map phase what as an input file was broken into chunks that was computed and then reduced to the meta information that we desired, and this all is repeated in a repetitive manner given as framework. Still confused? A very simple example. I have here 1 TB, one machine on the left hand side and about 10 machines on the right hand side. So on one machine, if I give 1 TB of data to read and it has got about 4 IO channels, each channel has a speed of 100 MB per second. I will not ask you to calculate because of dearth of time. The simple calculation works out to be 45 minutes for one machine, and in case we do the massive parallelism, we come out to 4.5 minutes. We have simply divided the processing power of all the 10 machines and divided for 45 minutes by it comes to 4.5 minutes. So the challenge is not storage, but the challenge is output operations, the speed. Now, when we divide that input file into various, it is being handled by various machines, the commodity machines. Now, these commodity machines are simple machines, they're not very very high-end machines, simple home machines. So, the mappers come into the question. If the mapper is the machine is compromised, in case the intention of the mapper is to give something else, he will be giving, and there is no way as on date to just verify the credentials of the mapper or to check individual so many machines. Mind you, when we are handling about terabytes and petabytes of data, these chunks of machines runs into thousands and lakhs. Now securing the data in that particular machine, again, an untrusted mapper can compromise. 2. No SQL issues. I told you in the beginning, big data is about the non-structured thing, which is non-structured. So here we have no SQL issues. No SQL, any time we SQL, the meaning comes out, no SQL is never SQL. Or SQL we using never. Then the other way is no to SQL. But the actual meaning is no SQL is simply not only SQL. We also use SQL as well as we are not using no SQL. These are two leading companies of the companies which are into NoSQL database, the Redis and the MongoDB. These two companies on their websites, they have written the highlighted part. The easiest and the most effective way to reduce the risk of exploitation is to run MongoDB in a trust environment. They are not confident of themselves since NoSQL is still in evolving stage. So with respect to the security infrastructure, the other company Redis, they also say it is designed to be hosted by trust lines. The company itself is saying you run our software, run this application in a trusted environment. You run it, you get the output results. Trusted environment, you have to ensure. Data storage, here comes an interesting part. How many storage in bacteria? Anybody? Storage in bacteria. This is something that I came across about 2-3 years back, and then I have been following up the subject. The interesting thing, I will take just few minutes on that. A hard disk, today storage is the key, and in times to come, storage will be, we are just compressing. Earlier we were happy with 500 GB, then we were happy with a TB hard disk, then 2 TB, then 4 TB at home. Of course, the server part, they are handling much more. So, in Japan, this experiment and this is on a test bed, and this has been successfully tested. 1 gram of E. coli bacteria, the name of the bacteria, can store about 900 TBs of data. Imagine 1 gram of E. coli storing so much of data. And E. coli is a bacteria which in every human being. So at a stage later, suppose it comes, I get actually very sentimental when I look into all this. So when I thought that after about 10-15 years it will be available as a technology that E. coli will be able to store about petabytes of data. अगर हम इसको स्टोर कर लें, तो अगर छींक आ जाए तो what is the problem? Data छींक में उड़ जाएगा. So 1 gram of E. coli is equal to about 900 TB of hard disk. So the issue is today when the data is flowing, it is flowing among tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and these tiers are decided on the priority that is given to the data. From a home simple workstation to a fast disk to a capacity disk to a cloud, the data keeps flowing. It depending on the priority, depending on the configuration, it has been made to travel. And the topmost tier, of course, the security is hardened, security is ensured, we pay attention to the security. But as the data flows down to a lower tier, the security is slightly lags. So we do not take care of that part. But the same data was critical the moment it was in tier 4. So again, different categories of data have different types of storage, and this is necessitated by the scalability, the exponential growth of the data. How do we keep track of data location? Again, it is an issue. Lower tier means reduced security, told that input validation and filtering. How can we trust data? When we have got data inputs coming live from so many real-time devices, from Android, from for example, the geolocation. At one time, in case somebody takes the feed of all the mobile devices, smartphones, how do we define? How do we say that that particular device is not compromised? Some are there embedded into it, or it is giving some preferential results. There is no way as on date, except for trusting. BYODs have actually given a new dimension to the attack surface. They have increased the attack surface. Attack surface is only, and the security part is just seeing what to do. Real-time monitoring. The amount of alerts that such flowing data gives is humongous. The amount of, how does an algorithm check all these alerts? Still an issue. I had spoken to Professor Subramanian yesterday in the evening and today also in the morning about this, since he is the big data specialist renowned in the world. I said, sir, any point that you can give me out? I listed out few of the points that I have already given.